Before this video begins, I'd just like to give an extra special thank you to my patron, the Beast Boss. Links to join the Patreon can be found in the description down below. Russell T Davies says he's hopeful that Doctor Who will be renewed for season 3, but adds that there is no update yet, which is definitely very interesting because I'm sure he commented not too long ago that season 3 was kind of, the scripts were like ready to go and he was just waiting for it to be greenlit, which could kind of be what he means about this really, but we'll get into it and I have some other stuff to kind of mention whilst I'm doing that. Doctor Who season 2 may not be kicking off until next year, but fans are already looking ahead into the future, praying that the beloved sci-fi show will be renewed beyond that point. But will a third season happen? Showrunner Russell T Davies is remaining hopeful despite there being no updates, as he tells SFX magazine in the new issue. As the writer revealed, Davies doesn't expect there to be news on the third season renewal until the second one has aired, stating, "It's an industry decision. It's like any business. These things take time. I think the decision will come after the transmission of season 2. That's what we're expecting. That's what we've always been heading towards," which I've commented on this in the past. A lot of people have been kind of saying like, oh, is Doctor Who being cancelled because it's not been announced to be renewed for season 3 yet? And I've always been saying that the whole, like, people are talking about it as if that's definitely the case and that's why they're not bringing it up and stuff like that. But I've always been saying the whole thing with this is Disney Plus ordered 2 seasons of Doctor Who. Unless season 1 did incredibly well, which I still think it did pretty well, but unless it did really, really well and was like the most popular thing on Disney Plus at the time or something like that, they're waiting to see how well season 2 does first because they've ordered those 2 seasons. I've always thought that's the case, and this is kind of just more confirmation of that. Whilst we don't have an exact date yet for season 2, we do know that it's locked in for early 2025. And we'll see Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor be joined by a new companion. Actor Varada Sethu will portray Belinda Chandra, but you may remember her from playing a different character, Mundi Flynn, in season 1's episode Boom. So yeah, obviously we know now that Varada Sethu's character is officially announced to be playing Belinda Chandra. That's kind of mostly all we know about her companion at the moment. We also know that Millie Gibson is in some way going to be involved as Ruby Sunday as well, for maybe like half the season, something like that. We're not really sure exactly how it's going to work. And yeah, we don't have an exact release date for season 2 yet, but we know it's early 2025. I'm pretty sure we've had indications from like, I think it's the Disney leak that happened a while ago, or the Disney like hack. It's going to be earlier than season 1 was in the year, so it's going to be kind of like March, April time instead of May, June, which will be great. We've also been told that the War Between the Land and the Sea is meant to be late 2025, so that would make sense. But I'm going to talk more about that in a bit because it kind of somewhat relates to this. Tying us over until then is the 2024 Christmas special, which will star Bridgerton's Nicola Coughlan, and the first look, which debuted earlier this year at SDCC, suggests that we are in for a right treat, as well as plenty of cheese toasties. But yeah, the main thing here is people are once again worrying that this means Doctor Who season 3 is cancelled or Disney don't want to renew it for season 3, which that could happen. Like it says on here, we're waiting to see kind of what the response to season 2 is first before they decide. So I don't think Disney knows if they're renewing Doctor Who or not yet. They're waiting for that to happen. Even if they don't, I don't think we have to worry, because if they don't renew it for season 3 and we just have 2 seasons on Disney Plus, it'll just go back to the BBC. Maybe they'll try and shop it around like to Netflix or somewhere else. But if not, it'll just be back on the BBC, only on the BBC, like it used to be probably. And it'll always be on the BBC as far as I can tell, for the foreseeable future anyway. So I don't think we need to worry about Doctor Who, the show as a whole, being cancelled after Doctor Who season 2. It just might not be on Disney Plus anymore, which is fine. But like I said, I don't think even Disney knows yet, because they're waiting to see how well season 2 does first. What this means is, obviously they've been quite ahead of filming recently. Season 2, I think, had wrapped before season 1 had started airing, or it was around that time anyway, and that's not coming out until, like I said, maybe like March, April time, as far as we know. So that's 2025. People are worrying basically, I think, that because of how ahead they normally are at filming, and they haven't started filming yet and haven't been greenlit to film yet, and they need to wait for season 2 to have aired first. I think people are worrying that season 3 isn't going to come out until 2027, which is possible. And is a bit, concerning, because it means we could have a bit of a gap year. And this is kind of why I said it kind of relates to the War Between the Land and the Sea. Because recently, as far as we've known, and it's pretty much been announced somewhat with no official date, that the War Between the Land and the Sea is meant to be coming late 2025, so late next year. So we'll be getting Doctor Who next year and then the spin-off later in the year. But now with this, if season 3 isn't ready until 2027, to air until 2027, it could mean either we get, Doctor Who season 2 and the War Between the Land and the Sea next year, and then a gap year, and then, nothing, or maybe a new spin-off in between, but probably nothing until 2027 when we get season 3. Or they might delay the War Between the Land and the Sea to air during that, what would be a gap year in 2026. But what I think is also possible possible that I haven't seen anybody mention is it might just mean that we get season 3 later on in 2026 in 2026 instead of early 2026, which is certainly possible. We'll probably find out more how they're feeling when we get the official release date for The War Between the Land and the Sea, or maybe we'll hear if it's been renewed before then. But like I said, I think season 2 needs to come out first, because if The War Between the Land and the Sea gets pushed back to 2026, then I think that is an indication as to when Doctor Who season 3 will be happening. If it does get pushed back to 2026, I think that season 3 will not be until 2027. If The War Between the Land and the Sea doesn't get pushed back to 2026, then we're either going to have a gap year, or it probably just means season 3 is maybe going to be late 2026 or something like that. If Disney aren't happy after season 2 and season 3 isn't with Disney, once again, I said, I don't think we're going to have to worry. Season 3 is still going to happen. It just might not be on Disney Plus. And it might be, a bit of a lower budget, which is fine, because we've had that since 2005 to 2022. So it's not a big deal. And, often big, smaller budget Doctor Who stories work much better.